What is going on, y'all? FNG to Pro TV back here for another video type stream thing for y'all. Oh man, it's 4 o'clock already. Okay, well, we only have about an hour to do this stream and talk about everything I want to talk about, which is why I didn't actually make a video or anything like that. But I'm actually going to take a look at this. No comments on that, so that's cool. Okay. Alright, good enough for me. So being the FNG or whatever at Firestone, working at Firestone pretty much is, it's a different experience for me. Oh man, I know who that is. That's what's up, Elias? But yeah, so being the FNG at a new shop, it's really weird, but it's, really exciting at the same time. Doing different things. I'm actually gonna pack a dip real quick, because I need a dip. I have not had a dip all day. And it's gonna really, I can't concentrate, just can't concentrate with nothing, but I know what I want to talk about today, but we'll put a dip in. We'll find a game real quick and we'll get talking about, this whole thing. I guess we'll play some search and destroy, why not, if we can find the game in it. There it is. Alright, so FNG, effing new guy at a shop. Today's my first day off. I worked the past 3 days, and then, today's Thursday, so I get Thursday off, and then I'll probably work 3 more days and then have another day off. So you pretty much work 3 days, have a day off. I guess that's how it works. I don't know. Or 1 week you'll work 3 days and then a day off, and then the other week you'll work 4 days and a day off. However it works, that's how that's just how it's gonna work. So pretty much, what's it like working? What the fuck was that? Pretty much, what's it like working at a Firestone? It's a lot different than what I'm used to be completely honest about it. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, yep, I'm dead. Okay, these guys are, they have to be running in. Yeah, I kind of figured. So it's pretty much a lot different than what I'm used to doing, as far as just different things go with that. I'm not used to doing, a whole bunch of tires or a whole bunch of oil changes. Like yesterday I learned how to do something. I've been an automotive technician for the past 5 years. So yesterday I learned something new, and this is what's going to tell you guys, it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it, you will learn new things. New things are always coming out, and new experiences. Right now I'm at a prime time to be working in the automotive industry because of all the new late models coming out and all the new technology coming out. So right now is a prime time to be in the automotive industry. So that being said, there's a lot of different things that I could be learning right now that I didn't know before. But one thing that I did learn yesterday was how to reverse mount and dismount a tire. Pretty much what a reverse mount is, that is where you pretty much mount a tire and dismount a tire upside down. Meaning you flip the rim over, and it's just a different way to do it. It's a little bit weird. It's something that I wasn't very good at, and I'm still not very good at it, but it's one of those things that's gonna take I knifed the shit out of you and you're not dead. It's one of those things that you're just gonna have to get used to. I'm gonna switch my gun, honestly. It's just one of those things you just got to get used to it and do it enough times to figure it out, really. Me personally, with tires, tires are not my strong. Tires are not my strong suit, nor my go-to whatsoever. That's just kind of, you know, how it is, whatnot. Tires just are not my thing. So beyond that, beyond, you know, tires just not being my thing or whatever, you know, will I still do them? Yeah, because tires are worth money. I don't know exactly. Y'all two are fucking retarded. You know, they may not be my thing and whatnot, but, you know, tires make money. Any job that will make me money, I'm going to do it. Like yesterday, for instance, there was an oil change that the shop foreman didn't want to do because he was ready to go home because he got off an hour before I did. And so he was like, hey, you know, you wanna finish up here? And I said, yeah, dude. I mean, you want me to finish it? I'll go ahead and finish it for you. I'll make a little bit of money. I mean, I made, you know, point whatever off of it and whatnot. So it really wasn't that bad at all. The biggest thing, you know, that was just what it was for me. It wasn't bad. It wasn't nothing, you know, that I was too concerned or worried about. Just one of those things, I guess. So, you know, I do anything to make some money. Yesterday was the first alignment. The last vehicle I worked on yesterday. I worked on more vehicles yesterday than I did the day before, my second day. I made a video after my first day, or a little stream after my first day, talking about, you know, I wasn't too happy with the shop. I wasn't, you know, I was already ready to pack my shit and get the fuck out of there. After doing all those tests, which I'm going to have to do more testing, which is a little bit aggravating, but at least I get to work the rest of this week with no more tests. But next week it's going to be back on the computer and taking more tests, and then it'll be from there something different. But the testing's not going to be as bad, because I'll be a lot more comfortable. The testing won't be as bad. I'll actually appreciate it a little bit more, due to now my body is, you know, when an automotive tech gets an off day, it is key for that automotive tech. You know, if you're a wife out there or a husband of an auto tech, because there is female auto techs. I work with one. My very first time, I'll be talking about what it's like working with her. And, you know, is it a professional thing, or, you know, whatever. So we'll talk about working with her in another time, probably later on down the road, and what my opinions are on female automotive technicians now that I have some experience with it. And my experience with it was actually really surprising, and that just shows how much of a piece of shit I was in the past to think that, you know, a woman, you know, wouldn't make a very good auto tech. I would say that, you know, they would make a decent one, but I'll just throw it out there right now. This girl, she turned 30 hours in one day. She turned 30 hours in one day. I've never turned 30 hours in a day in my life. The most hours I've ever turned in one day was half of that. Matter of fact, less than half of that, because I turned 14 in one day. And that was about as good as it, you know, got for me. Oh my god. uh, but no, so yeah, it was a little bit different. So I learned a couple things. I learned how to reverse mount and balance, or reverse mount and dismount a tire yesterday for the first time. Um, what else did I learn? That was pretty much it. I also learned how to check my flat rate hours without going in all data and looking up how much, you know, something, a job paid or whatever by the book. So that was a little bit, you know, that was something different for me. A different thing as well for me was filling out the courtesy check sheet. I'm learning how to get a little bit quicker with that by, you know, remembering, you know, the things that are on it. So, you know, remembering what's on that sheet is a big key part of everything, due to the fact of, you know, that's the longest part. If you can get through that quickly, and the faster you get through that sheet, the better you're going to be off. Writing the VIN number down, I'm not really going to be able to get faster at that because I just read it and I write out 4 characters, and then I read another 4 and I'll write those 4 out, and you missed. You know, it's just what I do. I read 4 and then I just kind of keep going from there. But so that's a little bit different for me. Another thing that, you know, just remembering what's on that sheet. So there's you only have to fill out the top part, which is, you know, tire pressure, in and out tire pressure. The in and out tire pressure, a lot of people, you know, they don't check the tire pressure. Me personally, I just go ahead and check it. I like it when it's a TPMS system personally, because if the TPMS light is on, I know that the tire pressures are not within standards. However, if the TPMS light is not on, then I don't really find a reason to check, you know, to really check it with the gauge. But what I will do is I will flip through the settings menu in the dash and I will check the tire pressure like that, because most late model vehicles will tell you with TPMS sensors that, you know, read the actual air pressure. It'll actually tell you, you know, hey, this is the tire pressure for this. Oh, I knew he was coming. He came around a lot quicker than I thought he was going to. So you can just check the tire pressures like that. So if the tire pressure is supposed to be 35 and they're at 33, I'm just going to leave them. As long as they're all at 33, then I'll leave them at 33. If I know they're supposed to be at 35, then I will write, you know, I'll write, hey, they're at 35, whatever, not a big deal. Or if they came in at, well, I won't lie, actually. What I will do is, if they're all at 33, now if one is at 32, then I'll go ahead and set that one tire to 33. And just let it ride at 33 tire pressure. Now the manufacturer might want them at 35, but 2 psi, I'm not concerned about 2 psi, especially on a cold tire. So a cold tire that's sitting at 33, that's been sitting outside, that had the time to cool off and kind of you know, it just kind of decompresses itself. At that point in time, it's not a big deal. The reason why it's not a big deal at that point is because once that tire pressure reaches, you know, operating temperature, it'll go up 2 psi. So it'll be at 35 psi where it's supposed to be, and I'm okay with that. Now if it was at like 30, if it's like, you know, 4 or 5 off or more, then I'm going to, you know, fill them up. As far as if it doesn't have a TPMS sensor in it, which I see a lot of cars that have TPMS sensors compared to cars that do not. So at that point in time, I will go ahead and take that air gauge, and I will go ahead and fill it up. who did. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And that's just kind of what you have to do. You don't really have any other choice but to go ahead and check tire pressures. If you're gonna be an honest tech, then you need to do honest work. Point blank, period. At the end of the day, you need to do honest work. You have no other choice but to sit there and be honest. If you're not going to be honest, then don't get out of the industry. I don't like dishonest technicians at all. I'm not a fan of them. I never will be a fan of them. You know, I look for honesty. Honesty is a key thing to earning a lifetime customer. Don't recommend to sell something to a customer that they don't need. A lot of people do that, and okay, so to a point. People recommend, they say, oh, I need to make hours, so let me just go ahead and recommend this, this, and this. And hopefully they'll buy it. Well, here's the thing with that. If you say they need this, this, and this, and they don't need it, then you are dishonest. And you're a crook and you're a thief. You're stealing from a customer's pockets for something that they do not need. As far as in my shop, if you're going to recommend something, you better hope it's really on there, because the first thing that's going to happen is the service advisor is going to come out, and that service advisor is ASE certified, which ASE certified doesn't really mean anything too much, but they have enough mechanic experience to know, especially our service advisor, who was a technician, who is now the store manager, who has a toolbox in the shop and still works on cars every Sunday, where we are light staffed and we have less people in the shop. A thing about that is simply the fact and the reason of he knows what he's talking about. So if you're going to recommend something and he comes out and looks at it, he's going to make the determination if he's going to sell it or not. If he doesn't feel like they need it, then he's not going to sell it for you. And that's just how that works. Are you serious right now? I thought I could have got that. So that's just kind of how that works. It is what it is at that point. I swear everybody uses P90 and AK-74 on this map, or M16, or a sniper rifle. He was right there. I swear I just seen him. So, being honest tech, don't steal from people. Now, me personally, I'm a little bit, guilty of trying to sell things that they don't absolutely need, but they do need it. And I leave it as a recommendation. I write on there that, I don't exactly say, hey, it needs to be replaced. I say that, hey, you could use this like for ball joints and stuff like that, or CV axles. If the boot is ripped and all the grease has pushed itself out and it's a dry joint, like there's no grease left in there, but it it doesn't have any play in it yet, I try to save them time in the future, or anything else that could happen with it. I try to save them time in the future, simply just to give them, hey, this is your, your heads up or whatever. That's just who I am. That's just what I try to do. But beyond that standpoint of things, it's like, you need this or you need that or whatever else. You just want to be honest with people. That's simple. You just want to be honest with people. So another thing I started doing in the shop yesterday for the first time was I did my I did one of my #1 and most hated things in the shop, and that was, you know, alignments. I hate doing alignments. I'm not a fan of alignments whatsoever. I will do them, however I don't really enjoy to do them. Are you serious? You little motherfucker. I didn't, like, I don't even know. That's what happens when you get teammates that want to run up on somebody. But so, be honest. I mean, just being honest. I mean, it's point blank period. Another thing that I did for the first time, which wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, my second day at the shop, I went and got on the Matco truck, which I was waiting for Matco to come around. And the Matco guy, he's really cool. He's a cool guy. Another thing with him is, you know, he pretty much, he's just a cool guy all the way around. But on top of that, I'm gonna kill this guy. No, I'm not. Other than just being a cool guy, though, he, you know, he has good deals. He's willing to work with me. I'm going to buy a Matco impact gun, and with doing so, with that, I only have to put down like $46, and then that's the weekly payment. You know, he wants me to make 10 payments a week, or one payment 10 weeks. So it'll be paid off in no time. So having that Matco impact gun is going to change a lot of things for me. And I kind of have no choice but to, you know, make... You're gonna die. Making those payments are going to be a big thing, and oh, if you would have got killed, I would have laughed so hard. But yeah, making those payments is, you know, a big thing for me, because I can't afford to miss not one of those payments. Because I'm gonna tell you, the most embarrassing thing is when you get your tools repossessed in front of everybody. It's not pretty. It's not fun. You know, depending on the tool man, you know, it could be a thing where, you know, it's just a it could be a thing that's just kind of like, you know, hey, look, you know, you haven't been making your payments, you know, I have to come get the tool back, you know, whatever it may be. A lot of times what they'll do, a lot of times what they like to do, like if you have a toolbox or something though, if you have a toolbox, it's a lot easier to just, you know, if they're going to repossess it, what they're going to do is they're going to figure out when your day off is, and within your day off, god dang dude, within your day off, what they're going to want to do is come in and then they're going to roll your box out. That's just simply what they do. The best time to repossess the toolbox is to get in touch with your boss and, you know, say, hey, look, this guy hasn't been making his payments, you know, I need to come in there, or I need to figure out what day he's off, and I need to repossess his toolbox. And your boss at that point is not going to argue with, you know, the tool. He's not going to argue with the tool man. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. He's not gonna argue with that tool man because, you know, he pretty much, you know, the boss man has a friendship with all the tool trucks, because that tool truck, you know, in order to sell to that company, you know, he had to go in there and be like, you know, hey, do you mind if I come on, you know, this day or whatever to, you know, sell my tools. And a lot of times, you know, it's not even just that, it's a lot of times when a shop owner starts a shop, a lot of times it's a technician who finally got to open their own shop, which is super cool. I mean, that's really the tech goal right there. Being a technician, the two main goals. The first one that everybody wants is their own shop, their own successful shop with great employees, trustworthy employees. The second goal behind that is just being a shop foreman. Shop foreman pays a lot of money, and it takes a lot of experience to become a shop foreman. And that's just kind of, you know, that's just the basics of, you know, what everybody wants to have. It's that simple. That's what everybody wants. Me personally, you know, that's my two goals. Successful shop or shop foreman. And I would like to own my first shop probably by the time I'm 30. By the time I'm 30 years old, you know, I would like to own my own shop and, you know, have that shop running and, you know, have a family and all of that as well. But also behind that, you know, have my, you know, my kids, you know, if they're into being an automotive tech like they're, you know, like me, then, you know, at that point in time, I would like to take it to the next level. And by doing so, you know, have them, you know, take over. You know, have them, you know, work in the shop for, you know, said period of time. And, you know, I'd probably even go to the next level of, you know, my best friend since, you know, I was a kid, you know, have him, you know, work in my shop as well as my shop foreman. And, you know, my kids get older, 16 years old, have my kids, you know, work in the shop, you know, here and there after school or whatever, you know, on the weekends and stuff like that, you know, get them making some money and, you know, understanding what it's like to, you know, work in a shop for the first time. Only if they're into it, you know, especially, you know, having a little girl or whatever, you know, if she's into, you know, being an automotive tech, then, you know, I'll bring her in and, you know, let her, you know, fiddle around too and, you know, see if she enjoys it. And in that case, you know, that'll be the thing, and whatnot. The next biggest thing, I'm actually on the winning team. That's so surprising. So that is, I mean, that's just how it is, whatever. That's pretty much the ultimate goal. I just got blown up by a grenade by the guy I just tried to shoot in the face. I don't know how that blew me up because there was the wall right there. It should have taken most of the damage away from it. So that's the goal. At the end of the time, I mean, that's just the main goal, is to own your own shop. Me personally, another thing that I would enjoy to do is, my goal is to have, you know, I don't want 3 or 4 toolboxes. I don't see a reason in me having 3 or 4 toolboxes. I see a reason in me just having, you know, just one really nice toolbox. Me personally, I like to just buy one toolbox, and then when I'm done with that toolbox, you know, go ahead and trade it in. And then from there, you know, after trading it in, another thing I would like to do is, after I trade that toolbox in, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step, which would be, you know, say, like what I did before I traded. I said, okay, I'm gonna trade my toolbox into you. You know, do you mind, you know, dropping that toolbox off, and then let me get my tools out of this one, move them over to that one, and then, you know, come back next week and pick up this one, and I'll, you know, let me clean it up and all that for you, so, you know, it's clean and, you know, there's no oil or nothing on it. And then let me go ahead and move on from that. A big thing that I hate, in a shop is, see, I mean, it is what it is with that, but ultimate goal, you know, of my own shop, family owned shop, you know, have my friend working in there as well if he wanted to, and just move up within that and just, you know, do good things. So that is pretty much what it is. Okay, I'm just trying to kill these people right here. Nope. So yeah, it is what it is with the night. So more shop updates. So did my first alignment, and I hate doing alignments, but you know, this alignment wasn't bad. I mean, it took me 25 minutes to do it. You know, I used to hate alignment so much until I realized how much an alignment pays. A 4-wheel alignment takes me 25 minutes to do all the way around. And it doesn't matter if you just do a front end alignment or a 4-wheel alignment, whatever. The big thing with it all is simply you get paid 1 hour, 1.2 hours. And 1.2 and doing that in 25 minutes, you know, you're making a lot of money off of that. If I did 6 alignments a day, you know, that's dang, I don't know, that's probably about 7 something hours just in 6 alignments. So you think about it, 25 minutes times, you know, 6 times and divided into 60 minutes, that's only 2.5 hours out of the day. So 2.5 hours out of the day out of a 10-hour day. So you think about it, 10 hours, you know, subtracted by 2.5 hours, you know, you still get another 7.5 hours to do more work. So within, you know, within those 7.5 hours or whatnot, yeah, you know, it's pretty much rolling money from there. You know, you get 7.5 hours left over. You know, that's 7.5 hours. That's 7.5 hours. Say I did, you know, that would be like 4 cars. Every 4 oil changes would be an hour. So, you know, I did four oil changes or whatever. That's 1 more hour, so that's 8 hours. So I need to do, dang, 3, so that'd be 12 more. So 12 plus 6 be 18 cars. I'd have to work on 18 cars a day to make 10 hours. 10 hours, I mean, that ain't bad at all. Honestly, an oil change, the sad thing about the whole thing is an oil change takes me longer to complete than an alignment. And the reason for that is that courtesy check. And just simply, I don't know why oil changes take me so long to complete. I'm very on point with an oil change because an oil change is a big deal to me. An oil change is something that can easily be screwed up. Surprising enough, if you don't put that drain plug in tight enough, you're gonna have an oil leak. If you don't put that filter on right, you know, you can have an oil leak. If you put that filter on with a, you know, double gasket because you didn't check the mounting surface on the spindle, then, you know, you're gonna double gasket it or whatever, and then you're gonna have an oil leak. If you don't put that filter on right, or you forget to put oil in there, or you put too much oil in it, or whatever you do, between whatever you do within that oil change, there's so many things that can go wrong with it that you have to pay attention to everything. You know, there's the steps that I, you know, do throughout an oil change. First thing I do is bring the car in. That's step 1. Step 1, bring the car in. Step 2, you know, write the mileage down, open the hood, get the hood popped open, have the mileage written down. Next thing I do from there is I'm going to check everything on that sheet. I'm going to check everything under the hood that I can check under that sheet. Then next thing I'm going to do, you know, after that is I'm going to set the lift. And then after I set the lift, I'm going to put the car up in the air to, you know, a tire level or whatever. And then I'm going to, you know, play with the tires all the way around, make sure, you know, they don't have any play in them, make sure hubs and everything are good. Then I'm gonna do another walk around and, you know, hit 3 spots on those tires with the tire gauge, make sure, you know, figure out, you know, what the tire depths are within that. And then from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep on moving through the process. I'm just gonna keep on moving through that sheet, and then what I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna put the car up in the air. So now that the car's up in the air, I'm going to go ahead and do my under the vehicle inspection. I'm going to look at all the bushings, ball joints, anything underneath of that car that I can find that is wrong with it. And if something's wrong with it, then I'm going to write it down. If nothing's wrong with it, I'm not going to write anything down. I got the make, model, year, everything on the sheet. The sheet's filled out, and then I can move on. And then after I move on, what I do then is I'm going to put the sheet in. If there's, you know, recommendations, whatever, you know, I already tested the battery and the brakes and whatever, any recommendations that are on the sheet or whatnot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the sheet into the to be contacted list. So what they're going to do from there is they're going to talk to the customer and say, okay, well, we checked out your vehicle, everything looks okay. The oil change, you know, you'll be out of here in 15 minutes. So then I'll move on to the oil change and, you know, whatever. Now, if there are recommendations, then the service writer will try to sell said recommendations, and then, you know, from there get the parts ordered if we don't have them in stock, and then just keep on moving down the line. Now, if the parts need to be ordered or whatever, parts need to be ordered, what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to do the initial concern, which is that oil change. After that oil change has been completed, after the oil change has been completed, what I'm going to do from there is one of two things. Now, if there is parts that need to be put on it that we do not have in stock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move on from that point. What I'm going to do is, after that oil change is done, I'm going to pull that car out. And if, you know, if we are, you know, doing whatever to it, say we're going to do, you know, a repair on it, and the parts, we don't have the parts or whatever, then what I'm going to do from there is I'm just going to move on and just keep on, you know, pushing it. And then I'm going to park. So if we're putting parts on it, we don't have the parts, I'm going to pull the car out. I'm going to put it right out back, right, you know, we got parking spaces right, you know, behind the garage doors. So I'm going to park it right there, and I'm going to let it sit right there. So after I let it sit right there, what I'm going to do from that standpoint is I'm going to move on. You know, the car's been sitting right there, whatever, whatnot, and then I'm gonna move on. I'll move on from that point, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, you know, car's gone, whatever. I'm just gonna move on with my life. You know, I'm gonna wait till the parts get there. I'm gonna finish the next car. Hopefully by time, you know, whatever the next car is finished, you know, say next car is finished. At that point in time, I'm going to see, you know, hey, are the parts here for that car yet? Oh, they're here. Okay, now I'm going to pull that car back in, and I'm going to go ahead and do that repair before I jump to the next thing. Now, the parts aren't here, then I'm going to check the, you know, we got different hooks. So the hooks are going to be, you know, should I do, if it's in a red folder, that means they're waiting. If it's in a black folder, it means it's a drop-off. So if you get, you know, the red one, I'm going to do the red one before I do the black ones. So moving on to that standpoint, it's going to be a thing of, you know, if I see something on my hook that's, you know, gonna take me, you know, this long compared to this long, whatever, it doesn't matter. Now, if there's something on my hook and something on the next, you know, next hook, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that next hook. I'm gonna go ahead and get that knocked out and move on from that point. And that's just, you know, how it's gonna go. That's just how I operate. I get the one on the next hook because the next hook usually typically is a, you know, a waiter. And you want to go ahead and get the people that are waiting out. You want to go ahead and get the people out of there. I mean, nobody wants to sit in the shop, in the waiting room in the shop all day. I mean, let's be honest. If I went to a shop and got my car, you know, worked on or whatever, would I want to sit there all day? Probably not. I want to just get home. I mean, I just came in there to get, you know, so-and-so done, whatever. I want to get out of there and move on with my life. Which a lot of people don't realize that. Now you get those customers that, you know, they've been sitting there for 20 minutes or whatever. They've been sitting there for 20 minutes and, you know, you're pretty much halfway through what you need to do. They've been sitting there for 20 minutes. Well, the first 10 minutes was, you know, just waiting for a tech to get finished with something to pick up, you know, the ticket. And then the next 10 minutes, you know, now it's been 20. So now I'm, you know, 10 minutes into it. I'm halfway done. It takes 20 minutes to complete the job. Well, for an oil change or whatever, well, then at this point you're like, oh, they're getting pissed off. Well, now that they're getting pissed off and they're getting aggravated, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna recommend shit. I ain't gonna recommend it. There ain't no reason for me to recommend it. Now, the service writer pissed me off that day. I'm gonna recommend it because I'm gonna let them deal with a pissed off customer. That's just what it's gonna be. Like yesterday. Yesterday when I had to do that reverse mount and balance, or that reverse mount and dismount, or dismount mount tire, whatever, you know, this guy came in an F-150. Well, I worked at a Ford dealership, so I know all about F-150s. No big deal. I've done plenty of tires on them. Well, here was the big, you know, the big thing about it was, you know, this guy, he had custom wheels and custom tires. Well, not custom tires, custom wheels. And they were so, like, these were the dumbest, like, they were universal wheels that, you know, went on differently to fit a different lug nut and whatnot, which aggravated me. I was so aggravated about it because it was just like, you know, why do you even, you know, where did you buy these things from? Whoever sold you these wheels, you know, they really hate you. You know, whatever. You know, they were chrome wheels, not a big deal. I mean, they weren't too, you know, they weren't these crazy, you know, wheels or anything like that. They were just chrome wheels. Oh my lord. And then to take the, because you had to take the centerpiece out to get to the lug nuts with these. So the thing that made me mad about that was, you know, I have to take a hex key to take these off. Which again, not a big deal, but me, I don't have any hex key sockets. So I can't just sit here and, you know, socket them off and, you know, with a ratchet or whatever, or with a 1/4 inch, you know, electric drive gun or anything like that. I have to physically use this little, you know, hex key thing that I got from Harbor Freight that, you know, it does enough to do stupid stuff like that with. So that came into a big deal for me because I was just aggravated at this, like this whole thing. Well then, I got like 2 of the tires done. Like I had 2 of the tires done, they were mounted. You know, I had these 2 tires mounted and whatever. I mean, they were balanced and I had them, you know, over there ready to get mounted. Well then, from there, this guy was, you know, then he was like, hey, came out and said, you know, the shop foreman was like, not to put any pressure on you, dude, but, you know, this guy said, you know, he needs to go. And so I was like, are you serious? He needs to go? Does he not realize how much work needs to be done? And so I also recommended a battery, because his battery was no good. Which I wish I would have never recommended that battery. But, you know, when you have to take a battery test and put that thing on there, it prints out.
Alright, Marine, it's up to you now. Finish the mission.
I know that pissed him off.
We lost that round, but it's not over yet. Get ready for the next one. Switch sides.
So it came down to, you know, he was just getting aggravated. He's ready to go. So then I took his fog light out. Got his fog light taken out or whatever, and then it turned into, you know, whatever. I couldn't get the new one to go in, so that was pissing me off that I couldn't get this new fog light to go in. Like it just didn't want to go in. So I'm sitting here playing with it. I just couldn't get this stupid thing to go in, and it was just aggravating me. So I'm tired of that. That just aggravates me. So I couldn't get this fog light to go in. I finally got it to go in, and shop foreman was like, look, you know, I'm just going to do these other 2 tires. You just go over there, get that battery and that fog light put in, and get those other 2 tires put on it. And I said, okay. He said, I'll bring you the other 2 tires, and then you start those on too. And I said, okay. So then I got I started doing the battery. And the battery was like, well, that's not going to take no time to do. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. Hello?
Search and destroy. Destroy the objective. We got the bomb.
Alright, y'all. But, anyway. So I did this battery, and it was the stupidest battery in the world. I had to fight it. I mean, I had to take the battery off, put it back on, put terminals back on and off of it. And the interstate battery, terminals didn't fit around this interstate battery, right? It also had a plastic cover that went on it for no reason at all. I don't know why they... And I thought about throwing it away. I was like, should I just throw this away? And I was like, nah. I'm not going to throw the plastic cover away because this dude probably understands that he does have a plastic cover on his battery and he's going to be like, wait, blah, blah, blah. And on top of that, I didn't want to be a fucking piece of shit. I was going to do it the right way. But I was just angry, so that's why it was even a consideration in the first place.
Enemy UAV is airborne. Enemy UAV is airborne. The bomb has been planted.
So yeah. He also had kicker wires running to his battery because he had a sound system in his truck, which was really fucking annoying too, because whoever put those in there did a really bad job at it. But so I just continued to move on from the fact of I was aggravated. I'll get out. So I didn't let it beat me. I mean, I just moved on from the whole thing, and I was just like, look, it's not the end of the world. Don't let it, you know, beat you up too much, and, you know, just get it done, and everything will be okay. So I finally got it done, and after aggravation, it was just annoying. It was probably the most annoying thing I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Completely, 100%, just the most annoying thing I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Point blank, period. So, then it turned into just a bunch of BS, man. I mean, just complete BS all the way around. But I didn't let it beat me too bad, and I just decided to move on from the whole thing. But you know, it was very, very, very annoying. And then I had to take the wheels and tires back off of the truck because he had these there's like 20 different holes, and I was like, well, then my impact socket wouldn't fit into the hole, so I was like, oh my god. And then I looked around and I realized I did it to every single wheel, so I had to pull every single wheel back off this truck and redo it again. And then I finally got it done, and it was just such a bad job. I only got paid 2.5 hours for it, and it took like 3 hours to mount and balance 4 tires, put them back on, do a battery, and do a fog light. So 3 hours to do all that, which should have only took me maybe an hour and a half max. And it was just insane. So, but there was also an alignment on it too. So if I would have actually done the job within that hour and a half, then it would have been fine. Because within that hour and a half, it would have only took me 30 more minutes to do the alignment on it, which would have been okay too. I would have did that alignment real quick, and then it would have moved on to the next point of, you know, he didn't want the alignment anymore. He said he's just gonna come back because he had to leave, which was fine. But I would have got paid 3.5 hours for that job. I would have been paid 3.5 hours for that job, which would have been a-okay, because at that point in time, the amount of time that it took me to do it, I would have done the job in the exact amount of time that it paid to do the entire thing, and it would have been okay. I took about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So if I would have done the alignment too, you know, that would have took another 30 minutes. I would have been at like 3 hours and 15 minutes, and I would have made 15 minutes off of that job. Overtime. I would have made 15 minutes overtime off of it. And it would have been fine. But, you know, I just got really mad. I got really pissed off. And at that point in time, I mean, I was just getting so angry and so upset to the point where, you know, I did the one thing that I preached not to do, and that was I punched the fucking bottom of this truck. And then I hit my fucking head off of the truck, and then that pissed me off, so I ripped the fucking impact off the fucking air hose. And I fucking chucked that bitch at the fucking wall, breaking my impact gun. And on top of breaking my impact gun, I fucking I like chipped the wall at the shop. Like I broke the fucking wall. And I don't understand how I fucking managed to break the wall. Then again, I guess you throw a fucking 8-pound fucking piece of steel or whatever, probably 10 pounds of steel at a fucking wall. That's just what you gonna get. And broke my fucking impact gun. I threw that bitch so hard, I probably threw a fucking, from the distance that I was at, that fucking gun probably hit that wall at about 40 miles an hour. Threw a fucking 40-mile-an-hour fucking curveball at the fucking wall. So yeah, that was bad. And then it fucking smacked off the fucking concrete floor too, and then drug straight across into another wall, so it just fucked it all up. The inside of it's all fucked up. It's an Ingersoll Rand, so it was like, you know, $300 for that motherfucker, and that's like $300 down the drain now. Cause I can't warranty it. Because I bought it off the internet. I bought it off fucking Amazon. So that's just how that works out sometimes. So it was a little bit, well, not really a little bit, it was a lot of bit aggravating because that happened. But you can't get yourself beat up. And then I had a bad day the rest of the day because it was just a very slow day. I was already pissed off at how the day was going. We had a very slow day, and it was what it was. But you know, when it's a slow day and you're just gonna get pissed off because you know you're not making no money. And I could have sworn I only turned like 3 fucking hours. I was like, I've only turned 3 hours today. I guarantee it's only been like 3 hours that I've turned. But somehow I kept on managing to turn, damn, you know, 7 hours. So I was happy with 7 hours. I was disappointed in myself still because I should be turning way more than 7 hours. My goal, honestly, I want to turn 10 to 15 hours a day. If I turn 15, you know... Okay, I just lost that. Where did that go? There it is. Okay. But anyway, if I turn like 15 hours a day, that's 75 hours a week. So you think about it, you know, you take 40, or you do like, you know, you do, it's like 75 minus 40 or whatever. You know, that's 35 hours overtime. So, you know, you take that into consideration, you know, that's a lot of money. I can tell you exactly after taxes what that would be. So if I go to my state and look up the smart asset calculator, it'll tell you. So you get paid hourly, whatever, technically flat rate, but $14 an hour for a 40-hour, you know, pay period, which is, you know, a week. Set it up for 40 hours, and then, you know, you add overtime to that, which would be, you know, 14 times 1.5 would be $21 an hour, and you look at 35 hours of overtime. That's $1,000 a week that you make. You know, that's $4 grand a month that I could be making if I would just work a little bit harder and work a little bit faster. So that just is what it is. But, you know, just looking at, you know, my average week, I work 5 days a week and 50 hours a week, and if I turned, you know, 10 hours a day like I should be, that's still, you know, $600 a week. And I mean, you look at, you know, 600, it's like 641 or whatever. It says 641 a week, so you think, you know, 641, you know, 4 times, that's still not, you know, it's still $2,500 a month, over $2,500 a month. So I mean, you're good. I mean, you're looking at, you know, a good pay every month, $2,500, not bad. But really, you know, you want to push for at least 20 hours overtime working, you know, 60 hours, so that's $800. That's $800, but, you know, or even look at 70 hours a week. That's still pretty much $1,000. You add 35 to it, whatever. But if you went even crazier and you want to turn 80 hours, you get an 80-hour week, it's $1,100. You turn 50 hours a week overtime, so 90 hours total, it's $1,200. But if you go as far as you turn 60 overtime hours and got a 100-hour week, that's almost $1,500 a week on my pay period. If I made $1,425, times that by 4 times, that's almost $6,000 a month. That's the kind of money that you can make. So if you took $1,425 times that by 52 weeks, you made $70,000 a year after taxes. And it's crazy to think about it, but I mean, that's just the kind of money that you can make as an automotive. At $14 an hour, that's the money you can make. Everybody's like, well, flat rate sucks. And I mean, yeah, it sucks sometimes, but I mean, realistically, I make $45,000 a year on a bad year. I'm 19. I'm making over 40 grand a year. Kids my age, they don't make more than 18,000. So you think if 45,000, subtract that by 18, I'm making 27,000 more dollars than they are every year. 45,000, divided by 52 weeks, you'd have to make $865 a week. Which ain't bad at all. Now, right now, what I'm looking at, 7.15 days, 35 and a half hours. So, if I subtracted all that overtime or whatever, I got say 35 hours, I'd only be making. Right now, I'm looking at $425 a week. Now, if I did 425 times 4, $1,700. But if I did did it by 52 weeks, it's I made $22,000. The least I'll make is $22,000. So 452 times 52 is, or sorry, let me see here, 425 times 52 weeks, that's 22,100. 22,100 minus 1,800, or 22,100 divided by what I say, 18,000, or not divided by, what am I doing, 22,100 minus 18,000, I'm still making $4,100 more than people my age are a year, which still ain't bad, but I make $45,000 a year easily. I might even make $50,000 a year. Last year I made, I believe, I made like 57,000, but after taxes I made like 47,000. I lost like 10 grand in taxes, and I didn't file my taxes either, so I didn't get anything back. However, not a big deal. I didn't claim anything, whatever. I should have, but I just didn't. So I mean, that's just what it comes out to be. You make good money, so I'm gonna make, I'll make $20 an hour eventually, off of a 40-hour week or whatever, or 35-hour week. At that rate, I'm making almost $600. But I move it to 40 hours. At that point, I'll have no trouble turning 35 hours overtime. Hell, we can even say, I mean, that's 75. We'll go 80. Say you turn, say you turn a 100-hour week, right? You were just busting it out. 100-hour week, that's $1,592. 4 times. That's almost 7 grand. So you do $1,592 times 52 weeks. That's $82,000 a year. I mean, there's techs out there making 100 grand every year, no problem. And I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, you make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. being an automotive technician. So I mean, it is what it is. But I just thought I'd do a little bit of a, you know, money talk or whatever with y'all. You know, explaining, you know, you can make good, decent money as an automotive tech, no problem. I mean, every day of the week you can make good, decent money, and, you know, move on from that, and, you know, strive on to make even more if you want it to. The amount of money you make depends on, you know, how hard you want to work. An automotive technician, the incentive is flat rate pay. So the incentive is, how hard do you want to work? Now there's some things that are out of your control, like, you know, a slow week. You know, you can't control that, but that's why you know, if you had one slow week out of the whole month, those other 3 weeks, if you didn't make as much money as you wanted to, minus a week, you know, you might have lost $400 or $500 in a week, but guess what? Those other 3 weeks, you made it all back. So if you're busting your ass, so when you do get those other 3 busy as hell weeks, and you're busting cars out and you're busting your back, I mean, there's a lot of things. Speed comes with experience. That's the thing about the automotive industry. It is all experience. Your pay, your hourly rate pay, is based on your experience. So, you know, I started out as an auto tech at $8 an hour. 5 years later, I'm making 14. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you know, I'm making $1 more. Say I'm making a little bit. I made about $1.25 raise every year. $1.25 a raise every year ain't bad. So, you know, next year I'll be making 15. You know, 15.25, or, you know, the year after that I'll be making 16.25. Or like 16.50, and then, you know, 17.75, and then, you know, 18.25. Or 18 flat, and then, you know, so on. I mean, but there comes a point where it's just like, you know, if you've been with a company for, you know, this long or whatever, if you stay with a company for 5 years, and, you know, right now, like, say I'm with Firestone for the next 5 years, in the next 5 years I better be making $20 an hour, or more. And then at that point in time, if I'm not making more than that or whatever, I've been working an automotive technician for, you know, this long period, blank, whatever, you know, I got all my ASE certifications, and I got my state inspection license, and, you know, I got all these certifications, and then I got Ford certifications, and I went to school and everything else. You know, ASEs pay, and I didn't realize that. You know, my girl, you know, she made me understand that ASEs are going to pay. She gave me a hard ass time on it, and I get so aggravated when she says it, you know, but she's right. At the end of the day, ASCs are going to make me my money. That state inspection license is going to be what makes me my money. You know, point blank period, you know, how it's going to work is, you know, all these different variables is what's going to make me my money. And, you know, I'm going to get my state inspection license. I'll probably get my state inspection license probably in December. I think that's when I'm going to get my state inspection license. It will be in December. That's when I'm going to apply for it. I'm going to give the company 6 months. 3 months from now, I'm going to get my first ASE. That's just how it's going to be. And I'm going to get I'm going to have all 8 ASEs by December. So in 3 months, so June, July, August, September, I'm going to get my first ASE. October, I'm going to get 2 more. In October, I'm going to get 2 of them, so that'll be 3. So November, I'll get 2 more, which will be 5. And in December, I'm going to try to get 3 of them, which will be all 8. So in December, I want to have a state inspection license and all 8 ASEs. That's 6 months away. That is my goal to shoot for, and that's what I'm looking to get by December, or by January 1st, or by the end of January. So 6 to 7 months from now, I will have every ASE certification, be eligible to be a master technician, as well as on top of that have a state inspection license. That is my goal. That is what I'm looking to obtain, and that is what I'm looking to do. that is what I want, and that is, you know, it's reasonable to obtain all of that. As well as by the end of January, I would like to have a new toolbox, and I would like to have it at least halfway filled up with things that I need. I want to have every socket that I need in every, you know, quarter, 3/8, and half inch. I would also like to have them in every variables as far as deep, semi-deep, and shallow. I would also like to have, you know, a bunch of different tools that I would like to have within the next couple of months, as well as I would like to save 10 grand. My goal is to save up 10 grand, and I would also like to have another vehicle in the next 2 months, so I can have a little bit more freedom, since my car is out of commission right now, and I've been lucky enough to have a family member of mine taking me back and forth to work. But in 2 months, I would like to have my own vehicle. As well, in 2 months, I would also like to have not only my own vehicle, but I would also like to have my impact wrench paid off, as well as have I'm gonna buy this snap-on wrench, as well as I'm getting this adjustable snap-on wrench that I learned about yesterday, which I thought was pretty neat. Another thing that I would like to obtain would be so just different things like that. I mean, that's just, you know, stuff like that. That's all these things that I would like to obtain. I would also like to obtain a snap-on or Matco or Mac creeper chair. Would be really nice to have. That's just my go-to, pretty much. I don't really hate on one company or the other. You know, I'd like to buy Matco everything, but I'd also like to have a couple snap-on things, and a couple Mac tools as well. Actually, I honestly probably won't buy any Mac tools. I'll probably just buy all Snap-on and Matco. That's pretty much it, really. But that's just my goals and, you know, my aspirations and things that I want to do in the next couple of months. And I will continue to work hard to obtain all of these things, and I will dedicate my career to becoming a better technician and learning as much as I possibly can. I'm just at a point in my life where I'm ready to get more serious about my career, and that's just what I want to do. But other than that, this is FNG the Pro TV, and I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all be good.